Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The Hurricane Watch team is here with a tropical weather update for Wednesday, August 16th, 2023. Today we're going to be talking about some of the tropical activity that we are seeing here in the East Pacific and some tropical activity that we could be seeing shortly in the North Atlantic. So first I want to talk about our new storm that recently developed off the coast of Central America. Here we have Tropical Storm Hilary, and the National Hurricane Center is actually predicting and expecting this to become a major Category 3 hurricane as it moves northward off the coast of Mexico and Baja California Peninsula. I do expect, I'm going to actually zoom this in just a little bit. As you can see here, it's going to be moving pretty much just parallel to the coast of Mexico, and then could actually be getting very close to Baja California Peninsula there, making landfall there and actually moving into the Southern California area. It's going to fall apart quickly. However, there's going to be a lot of heavy rain and possibly quite a bit of flooding there over the portions of Arizona and Southern California. So you can see there are going to be big swells. There's going to be big waves, and one of the biggest threats from this right now is going to be those deadly rip currents that are going to be impacting the coast of Mexico and Baja California Peninsula. The biggest threat with any kind of system is always going to be the heavy rain and the flooding. Now, depending on how strong this is, by the time it makes landfall, there could be some storm surge, but overall the biggest threat will definitely be the heavy rain, as it's only expected to be a weak tropical storm, maybe 45, 50 miles an hour at landfall, but it's going to be an extratropical. It's going to be falling apart, and as it is falling apart, it is going to just drop all this rain along southwestern portion of the United States. Taking a look at this, definitely gusty winds right now, about 40 miles an hour, and then as that continues, there's a pretty good chance that there will be 40 to 60% chance of tropical force winds across the entire portion of Baja California Peninsula, and even 10 to 15% chance of tropical storm force winds into Southern California. Now that is as of right now. This will change as models change and the track and the intensity kind of fluctuates a little bit, but we do expect this to be a major hurricane at its intensity. It will not be making landfall at that intensity. It will rather be very weak as it does reach landfall. Again, a moderate to a weak tropical storm. It will be falling apart. It'll be extratropical, and so again, the biggest threats are going to be fresh water flooding. An isolated tornado or two is possible with this storm as it weakens. If we go out here, there's a system. As you can see, we are seeing quite a bit more convection with this. They're right off the coast of Mexico right there, you can see. We're actually going to do zoomed in more so we can get a better look at the structure of the storm. And then we'll go on and talk a little bit about the models and where this is going to go. So as you can see here, the biggest thing is we are seeing a lot more convection near the center of the storm. We're starting to see basically all this moisture kind of surrounding the center, and as that generally happens, there will be less influence of dry air on the intensity of the storm, and it will just gradually get stronger and stronger there on out. See if I can take a look at the ocean analysis of the Eastern Pacific. There we go. I want to take a look in terms of where this is at. Hilary, okay. For 500, okay. So roughly right around here. So it's 87, 88 degree water temperatures. The atmosphere there's lots of moisture in the atmosphere. There's not a lot of dry air. The wind shear is low, and the water temperatures are extremely warm. As this makes its way north, it's going to move right along this. It's going to move right this way, roughly here, and get close to make landfall roughly around here. But the farther north it goes away from Mexico, generally the more warmer the colder the water temperatures are going to be, and so the storm's not going to be able to be as intense, and so it's just going to fall apart as it moves away from its source of energy. And the next thing that's going to happen is it's just going to drop all of this rain across all of western Mexico and southwestern United States. Talking a little bit about the forecast models with this, I'm going to actually look at the forecast models just to get an idea of generally where this system is going to be going, and also how much rainfall we could be expecting with this system. So this is just rainfall rates, okay? So as you can see, really near the core of the system is where we are going to have our heaviest winds and our heaviest rain. But also in these outer bands, you do have pockets of much heavier rain, and that's often where you can also see your gustier winds too. As the storm rapidly intensifies, this showing its intensity at about 943 millibars. You can kind of see where there's somewhat of an eye. There's heavy rain and heavy winds surrounding the entire system. Kind of assume this is where the eye wall is going to be, and that's where we're going to see our strongest winds. But again, out here in the outer rain bands is still where we're also seeing those heavy amounts of rain. Now the good news with this is it doesn't appear that it's just going to slow down. It's just going to keep moving through as it gets closer towards the southwestern United States. And like I said, as it moves away from that warm waters, it's just going to completely fall apart over Mexico and the southern United States. Looking at that's maybe. Oops. Just simulating IR satellite, so you can kind of get an idea of how intense this could be. Well-developed eye, colder cloud tops. It's -70, -80 degrees. So very, very intense. Could even see some lightning in there. Now in terms of how much wind this has, I mean, this is just one model showing maybe upwards of 95 knots, so maybe 105, 110 miles an hour with the GFS here. 946 millibars, and as it makes its way into Southern California, the wind is going to rapidly die down, and it's just going to, again, it's just going to drop all this rain onto Southern California, Arizona, Nevada. That's where we're going to deal with some heavy rain. So, needed, as in some of those areas we've been seeing 150, 120 degree temperatures days, almost like 30, 40 days without any kind of rain. But, when you too much rain at once, it's certainly going to be a problem. And because the ground is so hard and so dehydrated of water, the water is just going to run off and cause, a flash flood. So as the system is developing now, the best thing that you can do is just be fully prepared. Get yourself prepared. Treat this like it's going to be the worst thing. Get your medicine. If you have pets, make sure you have food for your pets. Get water for your pets, and get accounted for everyone in the household. Have at least 1 gallon of water for every person. Non-perishable foods, cereal, crackers, chips. Don't get meat, don't get chicken, don't get milk, things that you have to put in the fridge. Power goes out, you're not going to have a fridge or a freezer, and it's going to go bad and it's going to stink. Make sure you have batteries. Rechargeable batteries are the best. If you have a generator, make sure you keep that generator at least 15-20 feet away from the house. Carbon monoxide can leak through your walls, and you can have carbon monoxide poisoning. We saw that here in Houston during the 2021 freeze, and in the entire state, we've had accounted of over 200 to 300 people have died from that freeze, and half of those are because of carbon monoxide poisoning. So if you have a generator, keep that 15-20 feet away from the house. But right now, just prepare like it's going to just be a big flood. And if you have the means to, or the ability, or the means to evacuate, evacuate to higher ground. If you higher ground, or just completely away from this entire area. Looking at the forecast models here in the East Pacific. So there's a storm right there. It is well developing. It is going to rapidly develop into a relatively intense storm, and then it's going to make landfall, and you can just see all of this rain right there, just kind of sitting right there. But because this is going to be fast moving, it's not going to stall or anything, and so we're not going to be seeing 50, 60, 70 inches of rain over the course of a week. This is just over 24-hour accumulated precipitation. You can even see where this kind of moves in right through here in this entire area. So in portions of Southern California, about 3 to 4 inches of rain is going to be the average, but right along where that center of low pressure, you could see that 5.5 to 6 inches of rain. So I do think in Southern California you could see upwards of about half a foot, but generally speaking, I would say 3 to 3.5 inches of rain. Total amount of precipitation that is going to fall would be generally, you would see in this area about 4.5 to 5 inches of rain, but right along where that center is, you could see total amounts of precipitation accumulating as high as 8, 9, and even as high as 10 inches of rain. Now I do want to talk a little bit about the North Atlantic. As y'all know, the sea surface temperatures in the Gulf of Mexico are hotter than they have ever been, really since we've been, doing measurements of water temperatures and weather observations in the United States. Even back in the early 1900s, during the Great Galveston Hurricane in 1900, we didn't see water temperatures like this. This is the first time we've seen water temperatures 30, 31, 32, and in some cases over 100 degrees Fahrenheit that we saw off the southeast coast of Florida, where the water temperatures reached 101.19 degrees in the extreme western Atlantic Ocean, measured by a buoy. So taking a look at the ocean analysis here, you can see, we take a look at the Gulf of Mexico. Gulf of Mexico is about over a degree above average, which is ridiculously warm. Even a quarter or a tenth of a degree can make a big difference. But now we're talking actual degrees above average. This is like nothing that we have seen before. So taking a look here in the Western Atlantic, you can clearly see just how warm these sea surface temperatures are. 30, 31, 32 degrees, that's 90 degrees Fahrenheit. You only need about 80 degrees Fahrenheit for a bad hurricane to be able to develop. And now we're seeing 10 degrees warmer than that. If everything works perfectly and the atmosphere cooperates, there's no dry air, there's no wind shear, and the water temperatures stay warm, even if it's a tropical depression, okay, there's so much moisture available in the atmosphere that it could just produce a ridiculous amount of flooding. Even with Hurricane Harvey, even after we get into a tropical storm, the water temperatures off the coast of Texas were so warm, it was just pulling in all this moisture from the Gulf of Mexico and dropping it on southeast Texas. Same with Tropical Storm Allison in 2001, Subtropical Storm Cindy in 2017. They just pull in all this moisture, and because the water temperature is so much warmer, that dew point is going to be even higher. And so we've seen temperatures not even be getting below 80 degrees for about a month straight here in southeast Texas, because the dew points are so much higher because the water temperatures are so much warmer. And that's why the nights have been so much warmer and humid. Thankfully, overnight we got a cold front, so humidities went down. but I do expect those humidity levels to come back up. Well, with all that being said, I think that is going to do it for us for today. We do have, just want to look up a little bit at the models here and talk a little bit about what we're seeing with that storm, that system there in the Gulf of Mexico. There's basically this tropical wave. I'm going to kind of zoom into the Western Atlantic here. Tropics. Let's do the Western Atlantic. There is a tropical wave sticking out here is expected to develop. You can kind of see it right here. There's a wave, and it kind of just moves westward, and it's just an area of moisture. But as of right now, it's not expected to develop. As we can see here, this is 180 hours out. This is really as far as I, want to look out. 180 to 190 hours out. We do see a very, very, very small system, probably a hurricane, 983 millibars, but it appears to be a out-to-sea storm. It's probably just going to go around this area of high pressure and move off to the north. Now, if that area of high pressure, the North Atlantic High, expands and strengthens, that's going to push this farther off to the west and south. So areas like the Caribbean islands, the Lesser Antilles, the Bahamas, East Coast of the United States, Florida, the Carolinas, Virginia could be impacted, but as of right now, I don't think that's going to happen, according to what the models are showing right now. Take a look at the European model, and I want to take a better look here at the entire North Atlantic, so we have a better idea of what's going on. Okay, here we go. So you do see a relatively a weak system, 1,005 millibars, nothing really intense. And again, we are looking at this area of high pressure, kind of sitting out here. It does seem a little bit stronger, so 1,021 millibars. So it kind of will probably stay off farther to the south. The weaker these storms are, the more influenced they are by the high pressure. Now, if this doesn't strengthen, we'll probably be able to just kind of go around it like so. But because this is weak, it's going to kind of stay farther to the south. This is according to the European model. As of right now, that is what we are looking at. And just wanted to show you all, take a look at the North Atlantic satellite imagery. You can clearly see lots of dry air still there in the mid-levels of the atmosphere. You can see there is Tropical Storm Hilary developing off the coast of Mexico. And got a tropical wave here, some disturbances here. Then this one right here, this actually is starting to look generally, not bad. Seeing a little bit of convection and even a little bit of some rotation. Alright, take a look at East Atlantic. Perfect. So you can certainly see there's some rotation a little bit going on there. You get air kind of going this way, and then you have this air moving this direction. It kind of gets it starting to rotate a little bit. So we are starting to see that trying to develop a little bit. And if we go over and take a look at the National Hurricane Center, they're going to take me to the Hurricane Center immediately. That's kind of the storm that we have going on here. It actually has a 40% chance of development here over the next 5 days, or over the next 7 days, and then the next 2 days, and only has a 20%. So it is still fighting some of that dry air, but we believe that this is going to slowly become more, develop more. Well, that's going to be it for today, guys. Thank you all for watching. We're going to have another tropical weather update later today. That's going to be it. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and we will have another video later today.